Hey guys, in this video I'll be comparing 2003 and 2004 Ronnie Coleman. Many people know of how dominant Ronnie's 2003 version is, as it's probably one of his best physiques, if not the best objective physique of all time, from a bodybuilding criteria perspective. Now, I feel like 2003 gets a lot of praise for being one of Ronnie's best versions. However, on paper, 2004 was heavier, similarly conditioned, and dominated the competition just as much. I wanted to see if 2004 was potentially a better year than 2003, or if 2004 has been overlooked for good reason. Now, before the video does start, a like and sub would be much appreciated as it helps out the channel tremendously. With that all being said though, let's get into this video. Here's the front double bicep, the first pose of this comparison, and in this pose, Ronnie's strengths immediately come into view. His mountainous bicep peaks and swept triceps are visible in each year, and his tree trunk quads are huge and similarly separated. His structure is extremely wide, and his limbs are very long, which tends to help him create a very impressive X-frame. The main criticism that 2004 received, which is also evident in 2003, was his significantly worse midsection control. While pictures won't showcase this, video does reveal that Ronnie was letting it hang more so in 2003, almost reminiscent of his inability to control it in the year 2000. Here though, his 2004 midsection appears more controlled and streamlined, although 2003 does have more ab separation. This trend of superior quote-unquote clean separation will be seen throughout this video for 03, as you can notice that his midsection, quads, and even his serratus all look more defined. That being said, small nuances in lighting, camera quality, and tan can all change a way a physique looks in a given photo, which I believe is what leads to 04 having a sort of grainier look. All in all though, 2003 does look fuller, especially in the arms, lats, and midsection, and presents more uniform detail. In my opinion, 2004 was the last year where Ronnie Coleman's front lat spread was a top-tier pose of his. That additional fullness that 2003 had is clear when looking at the lats, as whether it be due to the atrophy or peaking properly, 2004 doesn't appear as full or filled out. 04 is great in detail and overall size though, as the 2 years are virtually identical in the chest, delts, arms, and quads. Midsections are pretty standard relative to Ronnie, and he looks impressive in both years. Like I said, the major difference I see is that 04 lacks the same size. However, all the surrounding muscle looks to be in peak shape. The lighting and differences in tan really present themselves though, as Ronnie's perfect sheen in 03 helps reflect the detail and the intricacies of his physique back to our eyes, while 04 showcases a rather matte finish. The side chest is definitely one of those poses in which Ronnie was the furthest thing from aesthetic but had so much sheer size that it really didn't matter. These two versions may be the biggest side chest poses of Ronnie's career, while retaining excellent conditioning. Unfortunately, 2004's photo is obscured by shadow, as you can barely see that hamstring. From what you can see though, both years do have tremendous detail in the side leg. However, 2003's superior lighting gives him the upper hand, as finer details are more pronounced. Now, in terms of the upper bodies, the grainy quality of 2004 does come to life, best seen in the forearm delt and the skin texture of the chest and outer quad. Both years have phenomenal chest separation, similar midsection detail and control, and of course tons of size, with there being little to no differences. Here's the famous rear double, and in this pose I'd say that both are nearly identical. The crazy glute and hamstrings are finely separated and striated, and the outer quad sweeps are just so massive. One of the most recognizable signs of Ronnie's downfall would have been his gradual back atrophy, and even here in 2003 and 2004 you can notice that his left lat is creeping up more and more. While the difference isn't too stark, you can see that 04 pulls up slightly more, but not enough to be a problem. Apart from that small problem, both do have huge arms, thick traps, and wide lats. 04 does appear to pose better, whether due to actual posing execution or the differences of the angles, showing more bicep peak and upper delt, creating the illusion of rounder delts and larger arms. In reality though, both years are virtually the same from a conditioning and size perspective, with only that small lower lat problem, seriously affecting 2004. The Christmas tree pose is one of those non-mandatory poses that just wows you when looking at it, especially if executed properly. The combination of lighting and superb conditioning helps make 2003 look perfect. Those lats are hit with just the right amount of light, highlighting all the striations and small details. 2004 isn't as blessed with the lighting, nor does he hit the pose in the same way. However, the striations and lower back detail are just as clear. The glutes and hamstrings are 1-to-1 between them, I'd say, as when Ronnie was on, there really wasn't much difference in this area between the years. The rear lat spread is a pose which affected Ronnie more so than the rear double did as his career came to a close, as his lats really atrophied and barely opened up by 2007. Here, though, it is pretty obvious that there is some slight signs of this problem for 04, as his left lat isn't nearly as opened up as his right. This isn't the case for 2003, though, as both lats do appear symmetrical in insertions, size, and width. 04 does look crazy in the hamstrings and glutes, though, as they appear super grainy and separated. However, the asymmetries upstairs slightly throw off the pose. While 03 isn't as grainy, most likely due to the brighter, less shadowy stage, he still has similar separation while presenting a more symmetrical upper half. Going back to the side, we have the side tricep, and this is one of those poses that Ronnie either completely messed up or looked average in at best. Considering that Ronnie had some of the best arms of all time, it is pretty shocking to always see just how small his tricep looks from this angle. Although it was always striated, it lacked the same fullness of competitors like Jay, Kevin, or Flex, but if anything, the tricep wasn't even his biggest problem in the pose. The main issue with this pose is his midsection, which always looked thick and unaesthetic or uncontrolled for that matter. To be fair though, when you're approaching 300 pounds, it would make sense as to why his gut was so large and dense. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that it is, an eyesore to say the least. Now, between the 2 years, the only thing that I really notice would be that midsection in terms of the differences, specifically separation. 2004 is sort of washed out in the obliques, while 2003 has a cleaner line separating the abs and the obliques. Very, very minor differences though, but overall a standard side tricep pose for Ronnie in both years. The ab and thigh, like the side tricep, was the furthest thing away from an aesthetic, stellar pose. You can see his ultra-wide waist is simply unpleasant, and his objectively inferior, oddly separated four-pack doesn't help him out either. Interestingly, 2004, while considered to be less conditioned and larger than 03, has more detail in the obliques. This could be attributed to the lighting casting shadows among the striations, as if you look closely, you can see those details in 2003 as well. Apart from this, 04 is slightly worse in every area, I'd say. His quads don't showcase as much separation, and his abs don't pop like 03's do. 04 also has a blockier look to his physique, as his less full lats don't create as much of a V-taper. 03's lats are very nicely flared, however his obliques spill out more than 04, which looks super unaesthetic. While 03 objectively is better in more muscle groups, the main takeaway should be how unstatuesque and how unaesthetic Ronnie looked in both years. Unlike the last pose, the most muscular is a quintessential display of Ronnie's sheer mass and power. Even at his last Olympia, he really dominated most in this pose, as his muscularity and conditioning always came to life even at the end. 2003 looks extremely formidable, as his traps are monstrous, his arms are massive, and his chest showcases striations for days. 2004 is similar in all of these areas, not falling short anywhere but really in the midsection. Although 2004 has that grainy quality of the arms, super round delts, and huge quads, his midsection is just a little bit too bulbous and distended. It's not like 03 is Frank Zane or anything, however, at least his midsection is slightly more controlled and not as distended in the middle. Moreover, 03 has superior quad separation, especially as you move further up the leg. Without being nitpicky, I'd say that 2003 and 2004 are nearly identical, with the midsection disparity most likely being due to the photographer snapping the shot at an off time. Alright guys, that's it for this video. In short, I think that Ronnie's 2004 package, while claiming to be larger, wasn't necessarily larger from an illusion standpoint. Sure, some areas like the midsection were a bit bigger, and maybe that's where the pounds went. However, overall the two physiques were very comparable. I think that a major reason 2004 goes unnoticed as a top-tier Ronnie physique is due to the subpar lighting. 2003's lighting really complemented Ronnie's physique, as did the 1998 and 1999 Olympias. 2004's lighting wasn't the best, or at least not as good as the aforementioned years, in my opinion that is, which may be the cause of this version being relegated to the shadows. The main conclusion I drew from comparing these two was that the overall size, muscularity, and conditioning were somewhat similar. However, watching video footage revealed that Ronnie let his gut slip more so than he did in 2003, leading to more pictures of him with a distended, unaesthetic looking waistline. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please do let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this comparison, and if you'd like to see any other comparisons with some top guys, just in general. And I'll see you all in the next one, and like always, thanks for watching.